So, welcome to another edition of Wake Up America, Wake Up. I've had time to recover from my comatose state after the November 8th elections, and up until now that we understand that the Republicans have control of the House, but of course the Senate still belongs to the Democrats. So, a lot of people will troll and say, because I disagree that there was a so-called red wave. Which in hindsight, I believe, was just a red iceberg. And the reason I feel that way is because we were promised by the Republican Party that they were going to do their best to ensure that they would take over the House, that they would take over the Senate. It was this promise or this disillusion, most likely on my part, that I believed wholeheartedly that this would happen, that this would be a victory, that this would be a path to put the country in the direction that it should be going. But that wasn't the case. Now, we did have victories. Ron DeSantis and basically most of Florida is Republican controlled, and that's a very good victory because Ron DeSantis and the candidates for those seats in Florida, they campaigned very hard. They made a promise to the people. They made every possible effort clear to their constituents what their intent was. But that wasn't the case in New York. Then, one of the things that you have to take into consideration is that those people that voted, I think there's still people out there that have drank that Kool-Aid and have this disillusion that having the Democrats in power are going to make things better. But that's not the case. See, it is the far left, the Democratic Party, the Democratic Socialists who have led us to high inflation, who have led us to a national crime wave that, I can talk about that until I'm blue in the face. But this is a reality that have led us to high gas prices, high food prices, fuel shortages. Not too long ago, they were saying that we probably had 30 days worth of diesel fuel. Now, to some people, they would say, well, that doesn't matter to me because I use regular gasoline. But you don't understand. The impact that could have is on those vehicles that deliver food to grocery stores, to supermarket chains, that deliver fuel. So it is a big impact. And God forbid if we continue to have any kind of fuel shortage. Well, not even that, but the prices are going to be so high that you're going to have to make a decision, America, whether to feed your family, feed your automobile, feed your heater. Because they say that heating prices, or the prices to heat your home, they're going to go up 42%. So there are going to be a lot of tough choices to make. And if you live in this dystopia that, oh no, nothing is wrong, that having the Republicans control the House, the Senate, what have you, that's where the real problem is. No, it isn't. The real problem is in those of you that made a bad decision in your voting. And maybe it's not my place to say that it was a bad decision. But for the next 2 years, well, actually, for less than 2 years, you're going to see inflation go through the roof, continue to go through the roof. You're going to see gas prices higher. You're going to see a lot of issues with people who are just trying to get by. And hats off to those people, to those citizens that have volunteered to give food, to donate to those that are less fortunate, because they're going to need it. Now, again, I'm happy that, yes, the House is controlled by the Republicans. They have the majority there. However, now we need to find out if that commitment to America, that contract with America, right? Remember that? This is a version 2.0, if they can deliver. And I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of doubts because not only am I questioning the integrity of some of these politicians, but I also question the mental capacity of the voters out there. And I don't say this lightly. I mean, look, you made your choice, right? You voted your consciousness. I get it. No one has a right to question the way that you voted. Anybody votes. That is your right. But it is these type of decisions that will make or break this country. And there's just no way around that. And yes, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed that that this red wave was, like I said, a red iceberg and nothing more. And sure enough, the House, right, has promised that they're going to investigate Hunter Biden. They're going to investigate the FBI, the Department of Justice, Hunter Biden. They're going to do a lot of investigations. And that's great. But in my reality, I think it's a horse and pony show in which they make all these promises that they're going to investigate, and they're going to come to some conclusion as to who has the liability, who is accountable, and then what? Is anybody going to go to jail? Probably not. Is anybody going to be held accountable? Sure, on paper, in public. But I've seen enough to know that politicians don't do jail time. That accountability doesn't mean that they lose their office, their duly elected office. They don't lose it. They continue with their criminal acts, with their corruption, with their being beyond the law. Whereas you and I are the ones that suffer the consequences of these lawbreakers on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. And it's really up to you and I to hold them accountable. To let them know that we, the people, that our concerns, that our grievances are not being addressed. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I am disappointed that there was no red wave. I think we were sold on this idea that people like myself and other conservatives would band together and make a change through our vote. But it didn't work that way. And I don't think it's because our votes weren't counted. I think we didn't anticipate that we still had, people that were brainwashed that they're okay with, inflation, national crime wave, border crisis, and high food prices. They just don't get it. But I think they were lied to. I think that some of the candidates lied to them and convinced them, hey, we can turn this around. This was something that Trump did. This is something that the Republicans did. Although up until November, of this month, right? They did not have full control of the Senate or the House. They just got control of the House. And that congressional body does not become active until January of 2023. But, people like being lied to. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you drink that Kool-Aid. So let's see what happens in 2024 when we have the presidential elections. Will you vote your consciousness, or will you allow the media and politicians just brainwash you into thinking, oh, the last 4 years when it comes time to vote that we were doing great. But if you think that you're doing great and you think that the Democratic Party has held up its end of the bargain, go for it. But those of you that don't, that are conservatives, that feel that we need to change, then we need to start preparing now to look at those candidates, again, that uphold the Constitution, that care about their constituents, that have a record of doing the right thing. For you, the constituents, for we, the people, for the country. Just think about it. Over 3 years ago, this country was energy independent. And that's because people voted a president that they felt would deliver on their promises. And he did. And let me set the record straight about another thing. You're going to hear a lot of talk about Trump and DeSantis going at each other. And I'm going to tell you something. That is just another ploy to divide the Republican Party, conservatives that are looking to remove Biden from the presidential office. Now, what I think personally is that, we have to decide, and we have to make it very clear, if we want President Trump to run in 2024 for the win, or we want Governor Ron DeSantis to run for president in 2024 for the win. Only we, the people, can decide that. Now, Ron DeSantis is obviously a great governor in Florida. He has a lot of accolades that say he's presidential material and that he delivers. And so did Trump. In his own way, he delivered for the country. But we need to decide, do we want Trump for 4 more years, right? Or we want DeSantis for 4 years? It's going to be tough for a lot of you people out there. Trump, DeSantis, both, great men, both powerful political personalities that can deliver on their promises. But let's be clear. We can't have them both run, because that will divide the vote. And there will be no division for the Democratic candidate, which of course will be President Joe Biden, who has said he will run again. So if we have that division, amongst Republicans, then we're going to have another 4 years of President Joe Biden. So America, what I always tell you, wake up America, wake up.